You may think that Tilted Towers is a nice place to go to. Well, here's a little video of me telling you why it's not. If you go to one of the biggest houses, which is the clock tower, you could actually see this woman on a white dress. Or if you're alone in Tilted, which never happens, but if you manage to be alone in Tilted, let me tell you something. Never, and I mean never, get a sticky grenade put on the clock. It'll mess up the clock. You'll make the granny mad. Here comes the story. One day I was playing Fortnite, regular Fortnite with my friends. I was like, okay, let me just play some Fortnite. But since I was on vacation, there was no one to play with. So I was like, So I just looked for someone so I could play with. And I found this dude named Tilted is my love. And at first I was like, this probably was a gay guy. Then I was like, let me just join him. So I did. He started acting strange. I was just like, so hello, are you good at Fortnite? He was like, yeah, good enough. And I was like, okay, let's play some Fortnite. He was like, sure. And then he started asking more questions like, where do you live? And I was like, I can't say it. And he was like, why? And then he was like, add me on some Snapchat. And I was like, okay. So I add him, and then he just sent me this picture of his TV with me and him playing. And we went to Tilted Towers. Okay, so the first match that we did, we went to Tilted Towers. And he started acting weird. He was like, looking back at me. And I looked him back at me and I was like, what? He was like, don't you see her? And I was like, see who? And then he was like, that woman. And I was like, which woman? There's no woman. And he was like, you're probably not seeing it. So then we moved on. We were doing good actually. But this is where it happened. He sent me a picture of my street. That's when I got freaked out. I was like, ooh. And then I just decided not to tell him anything. I was like, it's probably getting late. I think I should head out. I think I should just head out the match. He was like, let's just play one more match. And then I don't know why, but he loves going to Tilted. Every time we go to Tilted, he acts weird. He always says, Tilted is the best place to go. But because there's this lady in a white dress, and I was like, what are you talking about? I always seemed like he was like a crazy guy. And then this is where something weird happened. When I went to Tilted, he sent a picture of my house, so I was like, oh no. And I had words written, Tilted is my love. And that's his profile name thingy. So then I was like, yeah, I think I should go. And he was like, he didn't say anything, so I just left. And then I just played some matches. And then he sent me a picture of my door. That's when I got freaked out. I didn't know what to do, so I just hid. Because I turned off my PS4. I hid under my bed. And then I could hear him singing something like, Tilted Towers is my love. And then I was like, what the heck, who is this guy? And that is the scariest moment. But then, a week later, I thought it was over. Because nothing weird happened. But then a week later, I got a message from Tilted is my love. He was like, wanna play some Fortnite? And that's when I was like, sure. And then he was like, let's go to Tilted. And I was like, why don't we go to Snobby Shores? And he was like, nah, Snobby Shores is not my thing. He was like, okay. So when we went to Tilted, he was like standing in the clock tower. He wasn't moving. But then his head started to glitch. His Fortnite head. He was using the default skin though. It started to like move around everywhere. He was like, oh, are you doing homework? That's when I got freaked out because I had my homework next to me and a pencil. And then I was like, yeah, how do you know? And he was like, just figured it out in my head. And I was like, oh. And then he would say something like, is your house, is it, do you have a brown house? And I kept on getting freaked out because I did have a brown house. And I was just like, yeah. And then I was in my mind, I was like, who is this dude? And then I was just like, so, do you have some ammo? He was like, he didn't say anything. He was just standing there. His head kept on glitching. I don't know how. And then I was like, no. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I just found some ammo. But he didn't even move from tilted. He kept on saying, look behind you. Like scared. He was like, look behind you. And I was like, what? I didn't see anything. And then I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep saying that there's someone behind me? And he was like, just turn around. That's when I started to get mad because I was like, what are you talking about? In my mind, I was like, what are you talking about? There's no one behind me. And he kept on just standing on the clock tower up to the towers. Didn't say anything for the rest of the match. So I just didn't say anything. I turned off my mic and I was just playing the match. I didn't win because he wasn't helping. He was just on tilted the whole time. Even in the storm, he didn't even care. He just standing there. Then, next match is terrifying. This is the next match is the thing why I didn't go to tilted. When I went to tilted, I went with him because I was on vacation and there was no one really online because they only had school. So I was like, oh, so you want to go to tilted? He was like, yeah, how'd you know? And I was like, yeah, I always want to go to tilted. And I was like, he was like, sure, let's go. And then he was on the clock tower once again. But this time, there was a mirror back of me. And he was like, look behind you. And I was like, I'm not looking behind me. And so we just moved on. Because I knew he was just kidding. And there was nothing behind him. He was just playing around, messing with me. So then, I was just moving on, getting my loot. And then he started saying stuff like, can I go to your house? And I was like, what do you want to do? He was like, play games. And I was like, what kind of games? He was like, do you like playing shooter games? And I was like, okay. And then I got a snap on my Snapchat, a picture of me playing Fortnite with him. I don't know how he did this. It was weird because he was recording it. And that's when I got freaked out. I was like, okay, I don't know who you are. He was like, my name's Tilted Towers. And I was like, what? And then I was like, okay, let's just play one more match. And guess what? We went to Tilted once again. But this time was different. When we went to Tilted, he went to the clock tower again. Starting to say stuff like, she's watching you. And I was like, who's watching me? The lady in the white. I was like, there's no such thing as a lady in the white. And he was like, yes there is. She haunts people. So we have to be careful. And he was like, look behind you. She's behind you. And I was like, there's no one behind me. So then that's when I started to get mad. I was like, okay. And that's why when I got to talk, and there was still a mirror behind me because I love going to the house with a mirror. And then I was like, okay, bro, I'm just gonna loot, and if I'm gonna look behind me where I was, and if there's nothing there, I'm gonna unfriend you because you keep making up lies. Okay? It was like, okay, but I'm not lying. So I just looted. I actually found a scar, so it felt pretty good. And I did no sticky grenade, which is also cool. And then, this is what happened. He kept on being on the clock tower, and I was like, dude, the storm's coming in. And he was like, look behind you, because I was in the house that he told me. And I was like, if I look behind me and there's no one there, remember what I said. And he was like, okay. But as soon as I look behind me, he sent me a picture of him being on the clock tower. And then I was like, bro, I'm not even gonna look. So I didn't look. And I didn't even see the picture because you could see me and what's behind me. But I didn't look at it. I didn't even know it was there. I didn't look behind me. And then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna pray for you. So then I unfriended him and I started playing some matches alone. And I was like, why did you unfriend me on Snapchat? And I was like, bro, just, let's just leave it like this. Okay, wait. And then I was like, okay, and then I was just playing. And then when I finally decided to look at the picture, if I looked behind me in the mirror, you could see someone standing behind me, a woman in the white. And that's when I got scared. So I was just like, okay, bro, I'm sorry. That's when I got scared, and that's why I never ever went to Tilted. So guys, so you never go to Tilted Towers or look in the house that has a mirror. Never look behind you, or never say lady in white 3 times, because if you do, bad things are gonna happen. So that's why I never go. And this is just a little clip. It's not that long. You guys can watch it, but just remember that. Just don't be there.